everyone, welcome back to our channel, This Blended House. My name is Shirley and this is
Dustin.
And in 2021, we blended our families together. I came to the table with 5 children.
I came with 2.
And then together in 2022, July, we had 1 together. Today, we just want to talk about coming into a new year with new family goals, new relationship goals, and something that we just started this year that we feel like is really neat, which was we asked them each to pray about having a word for the year, which is something that we like to do, but we've never asked our children to do it. So This year we asked them to do that. So we'll talk a little bit about that. And we wanted to share kind of a wrap up of what 2023 was like for us and some goals that we have moving into 2024.
Yep.
So why don't you start, babe, with what was your word last year?
So the whole word for the year thing is kind of new to me. Last year was the first year I'd ever done it. And so I prayed about it a bunch and I was like, God, what are you talking about for this year? And the word he gave me was silence. And I was like, well, I don't know what to do with that. So over the course of the year, I realized a lot about what that word meant for me. I thought it meant kind of something else, but wasn't sure. And what I really realized it meant was walking in silent authority as a step parent. And a lot of you who are in step families can speak to this. There are times where you have to lead from a place of silence. You can't say something that you would maybe normally say to your stepchildren. You can't say that to them that you could say to your biological children. Thank you. And there's a power in that when you're able to walk in that, and there's a weight in that. And so 2023 really taught me about the power of godly silence, holding your tongue. You know, the Bible talks about the power of the tongue and when to strategically use it and when to be silent. And so about 6 months ago, I started really praying for 2024, and the word Jubilee kept popping up in different things. I won't go into all the details, but the word for the year is Jubilee. That's a very hopeful word. So we'll see what just like last year, I'm not entirely sure what that means. So we'll see, but I'm excited for 2024.
And that's what's really cool about praying about a word or a theme or a goal for a year is sometimes God gives you a word and it won't even be until the end of the year where you can look back and reflect and be like, oh, that's what that word really meant for me this year. So my word last year was rebuild. And if I'm honest, 2023 was probably the second hardest year of my life. I don't know, just a lot seemed to go wrong. And my dad passed away and there was just a lot. We went to court 2 times last year. It was just a lot. And so without going into all of that, it felt like without trying to like use a word that seems to be like popular right now, but there genuinely was like a deconstruction that I felt like happened in my life, a stripping away, a pruning. And so really hopeful that in 2024, it will be a year of Jubilee for our family. So then my word that I prayed about for 2024 was super random. And I actually was like, God, I don't love this word. This is like, kind of feels boring. But the word is expand. And the way that I feel like God is trying to show me early on what this word means is like when a farmer expands his barns or his silos or whatever, his property, because God wants to come in and fill it. That's like the picture that I have for what this word means. And so I don't fully know, but I feel like I have hints, and it's going to be expanding things in my business, expanding maybe work I do in the kingdom for the kingdom. So I don't know, we'll find out and see, but that's the word I've got for this year, expand. And so one cool thing we did was we asked each of our children to pray about their own word. And most of our kids, we've got age ranges from 16 down to one. He's 17 months. Yep. But before Caden, our 2 youngest, my youngest and his bio youngest, are 10. So they're definitely old enough to be able to like engage in this and understand what we're asking them to do. So what did we do? One night we had dinner.
Had dinner, and we Shirley brought out a notepad. And we went around and we just got words. And we were able to kind of nail down, if not an exact word, an idea for them. And, we told them a big reason why we did this is that we wanted to pray for them throughout this next year into what they felt. We got things like, one said, I really want to grow in maturity, as after we talked to them for a little bit. Another one really needed clarity in their life, and so
if they didn't know what their word was, Dustin was really great about asking the children questions like, what do you want to see? What would you like to see different in your life next year? And asking those leading questions, I feel like really helped a lot of the kids produce a word. Yeah, it was really neat to do that with them.
Yeah.
And to be able to write it down, and now we have something that we can pray over them for this year.
Yeah.
So also our counselor, which we'll hit pause and say, we are big believers in counseling.
Very, very big believers. I have been a big believer in counseling for quite a while. I kind of, I didn't intro that to Shirley, but I marrying me, she got a taste of, counseling is really important to him. And as she's implemented into her life, she sees the value. I know in a lot of Christian circles, it's very common, should I say, to kind of downplay the importance of counseling. And I cannot overplay.
Because you have like pastors and
you have pastors, but to be blunt, a pastor is not professionally trained to deal with certain situations.
Yes.
And there are counselors that are trained specifically. Like we have a counselor right now who is trained specifically in blended families. And not only that, but she lived the entire blended family life. Her kids are grown now, and she walked out that. So it's been incredibly helpful for us to come to her because she is someone who understands, and getting a third party person who outside of that hour, your life doesn't affect them. It is very helpful to get just completely unbiased advice, unbiased counsel from someone who knows and is trained to do this. We go to Christian counseling, but these are certified Christian counselors, and I just could not advise it enough. Especially
in good seasons.
In good seasons and in bad seasons.
seasons.
I actually think it's the most helpful to go when things are really great, because your mind is clear and you're able to kind of evaluate things from not a defensive posture.
Or emotional posture.
When things are not great, it can be a little difficult. You go in there to work things out, but you're both highly emotional and trying to figure and battle it out a little bit. So I cannot state it enough. If you're trying to do this thing, it's hard.
It's hard.
Get some help.
Blending families is
Get some help
hard.
if you can.
Get some professional help. It's been such a gift and a blessing in our marriage and in our family. She gives us resources, books, and so it's just been a real gift. So anyways, our counselor at the beginning of this year, she gave us a form, and we thought we'd maybe share some of these goals as well that she encouraged us to have, that maybe you can sit down with your spouse and see if you'd like to adopt sitting down together and coming up with goals in these areas as well. There are goals that she said we could fill out pertaining to relationships, work, finances, but because of the nature of our channel, we're just gonna stick with sharing some of our relationship goals for this year. And so one of the questions was, what are some goals you have together with your significant other? And a goal that we made was
quarterly overnight trips. And we've done a couple overnight trips, and we've really loved them. And they don't have to be crazy expensive because it's just overnight, and it's just been super great for her getting out of the house. She's a stay-at-home mom.
Yeah, because I have a hard time like unwinding and relaxing here because there is literally always something to do. Whether it, and if I'm not doing it, then I just feel guilty just relaxing and sitting on the couch and not doing anything, because I'll be like, the garage needs to be cleaned out, or there's tons of loads of laundry, or I need to deep clean the kitchen or declutter this. So for me, getting away and being in a new environment is just so much more refreshing for me. And that's not to say that in certain seasons like this just isn't possible for some couples and some marriages, and that is okay. You need to evaluate the season that you're in. A year ago, we had Caden, and he was 7 months old.
Yeah.
We wouldn't have been able to do that then, and so that's okay. So what you do is you figure out, well, what can we do? How can we find time to spend together that's quality and intentional?
And what we did was we would put Caden had a bedtime.
7 p.m.
And we fought hard for that bedtime.
We fight hard for that 7 p.m.
He tries to push us, but
for the most part, it's just
right. We make dinner. we watch a movie, we find a show we like. It's just,
Or we do takeout.
or we do takeout, and it doesn't have to be crazy expensive. We sit, we talk while we're making dinner or getting takeout. Then we watch something, and then
It's our favorite.
and then we just talk afterwards until bedtime.
Yeah.
And it's not a lot. And yeah, when you're in the kind of doldrums of a season, it can feel like, oh well, that's not super exciting, but it's something.
Yeah.
You're doing something to invest in each other.
And to connect and to have quality time together. Also, you have to find the beauty. We talk about this all the time in being a blended family. And you have to find the beauty in the ashes. And part of the ashes of being in a blended family is that you are not with your kids like a normal or...
Well, depending on the situation.
Yeah, depending
There are
on the
situations
situation.
where you do. But in a lot where there's other parents, like our situation, the kids leave.
Where we both have 50-50 custody with our exes.
Right.
So part of the ashes of that is that we don't get to see our kids and have our kids all the time, 24/7. So to find the beauty in that is, okay, well, we don't have them, so guess what? We have more time that we can spend together and invest in our marriage. So it's always trying to find the good in the hard.
And then one other goal that we started to write down, but I don't think we wrote it down, was recently her and I, we have small groups. So when you're in a church, you can get their Right Now Media account, and that gives you access to a lot of material, Bible studies and whatnot. And not long ago, we found a Bible study. I printed out all the stuff and we started going through Romans. But that's a big goal of ours, is to have intentional Bible study with each other, where we're digging into the Word, just making sure we're getting in the Word together. It's very easy to do it alone, together.
So then the other thing was for children, goals for your children. Continuing and maybe building on some new traditions. Our counselor, and even before our counselor, traditions were just something...
You were big about that.
I'm just big about them. I just feel like there's something about traditions that tie people together, and it's always been very important to me. So continuing that, and we have some
traditions.
We already do.
We've already developed
2 or 3 years in. There are things the kids ask for. So that is one thing, is to continue on with traditions and building memories together as our family.
that they can go back to.
I think I hear Kaden waking up. But anyways,
growing responsibility, taking pride in their spaces.
yeah, with 8 kids, our house can go from looking pretty good to looking really, really bad really quickly. And so there are just some things that we've talked about chore-wise with the kids. Again, because I have a hard time asking his children to do things, because maybe that's probably best for another episode. But I, for the most part, like for him to be the one telling his kids what to do. And so we talked about well, what if I'm not home or he's not home and he's having to tell my kids to do things, and vice versa. So just having a cohesive, this is just, hey kid, this is just what you do and what you're responsible for in our house, whether I'm home, whether I'm not.
Right.
And we think that might help eliminate some things, which maybe we can make that another video for another day.
Right.
But anyways, that's kind of wrapping up 2023 and gives a little glimpse into 2024.
Yep. And so, have a little bit of a vision for the year for ourselves, for the kids. And there's stuff in here we're not talking about in the video, but 1 Corinthians 9:26 says, I do not run without a goal. Nehemiah talks about without a vision, the people perish. So it's important. I would really encourage you to set aside time to just kind of outline. It doesn't have to be nothing special. Just set out an outline, set a vision for what you want to happen this year.
With your spouse.
With your spouse,
together.
yeah. With your spouse. And kind of plot it out at a high level. And then it's amazing what happens when you just put some things to paper.
All right, guys, and that's it. I mean, we're just literally throwing these together now, and I've come to the conclusion that done is better than perfect. So that's just the best we can do in this season, but we hope you're able to glean some kind of encouragement from this. And if you are a blended family and you're looking for some support or some encouragement, please leave us a comment in the comment section.
Because we do try to respond,
He's
me.
much better at it than I am.
Well, I work from my phone, so it's a little easier.
So we'd love to connect with you and encourage you in any way that we can. All right, guys, until next time.
Bye.
Bye.
Okay.